I am Ann Twomey, and I'm a union leader. I'm also a registered nurse. I'm not a nurse at Christ Hospital, but I'm very proud to represent 420 of the registered nurses who do work at Christ Hospital. They are your neighbors. They are the people who take care of you when you get sick. They're your friends. They're the people who live in the community. And I want to also thank everyone here, our co-chairs, the community, all the coalition, the neighborhood groups, for taking a really hard look at this issue and for being out here tonight. How did we get to this point? And I'm just going to try and be as brief as I can and lay out some of the issues. You know, as Mr. Kelly says, the financial distress of Christ Hospital is not new. Last year they got stabilization funds from the state. So this is not a sudden event, but the causes of the financial problems haven't been addressed or fixed, so they continue. The nurses and the staff have done their part, and you need to know this. They've given up their pension. They've taken wage freezes. They've given back millions of dollars in benefits, all to keep the hospital afloat. And they were assured every time that they did this that the hospital was turning the corner. Now it's viable, now it's on sound footing. And yet, it's not. We were promised during the summer there'd be no layoffs. This week we're going through 100 nurses will be affected by a layoff that will happen on January 8th. As recently as this year, the state, which has done several reports, issued a report that basically said that due to the unhealthy financial status of New Jersey hospitals, they recommend a collaborative approach. And the purpose is to provide the care that the community needs in a way that reduces the competition between the hospitals. And last month at the Jersey City Council meeting, Joe Scott, the CEO of Jersey City Medical Center, testified that he wanted to offer a plan to Christ Hospital. But as far as I know, that meeting never took place to even discuss if there was a possibility of an alternative. So instead of doing a broad outreach last year to obtain a partner, the Christ Hospital Board and the CEO claimed that it was not necessary. But now we're told it's too late, that there is no other choice. If it's not Prime, then they're going to close. Plan B means bankruptcy. Well, I think there's some real credibility issues here. And I'm just going to give you one small example. I don't know if you've been following the newspapers, but the president of UMBNJ, which is, you know, a statewide institution. They have a medical school, they have a school of public health, they have a cancer institute. He stepped down, he resigned, but the newspaper reported that he was earning $575,000 per year. I think that's pretty exorbitant. Well, Mr. Kelly's compensation in 2008 was $720,000. But that included a $93,000 bonus. The next year went down to $617,000 because he didn't get the bonus. We don't know what he made for 2010 because it hasn't been reported yet. But what Mr. Kelly has told everyone, including the city council, is that he's been promised a position with Prime. And that's a concern to us because the only person who seems to have job security is Mr. Kelly at this point. And this might explain why we're walking down this last mile without exhausting the search for perhaps the best partner for this hospital. Now, is Prime the right choice? Well, I know that Mr. Kelly indicated that he is willing to defend the investigations that are going on about Prime, and has information that none of us have. But you need to know we're not doing the investigation. The Department of Health, California Department of Public Health, the Inspector General of California, and in 2 days ago in the San Francisco Chronicle, we now learned that the FBI is also doing an investigation. Now, you also heard that Christ has been running at a loss over the years. How can Prime profit if no one else can make a go at it. How does Prime make a go at it? Well, you can ask also, if Prime can get its money by selling the real estate, which is part of the plan, selling the hospital, real estate, turning it over to as a real estate investment through Medical Properties Trust, why can't Christ Hospital do something like that and keep the hospital within the confines of a not-for-profit and within the Board of Trustees? Now, Prime is touted to have received a lot of awards and honors. However, it's under investigation, as I mentioned to you. And the things that they're looking at are, it's called upcoding, and that's when they assign codes to a patient for reimbursement. And what we've read is that they're assigning codes which are not supported really by the patient's diagnosis, but they'll assign, the codes have been assigned that get them more money back. And that's what the investigation is about. In one of the articles, he gave an example. Someone with hypertension may be coded as having malignant hypertension. In fact, that they have a higher percentage of malignant hypertension than just about any other hospital in California. Another example is dehydration. People come in with dehydration, particularly patients that are undergoing chemotherapy. But they're coded, some patients are coded as having malnutrition. And this might sound funny, and it's not. There was even a report saying that one hospital in California under Prime's care has more malnutrition than some third world countries in the world. Here's what we're asking. And we're asking this of the Department of Health, of the State Department of Health and Senior Services when they do their CM process. And we're certainly asking this of the Attorney General. To open the process, we want all options explored. Failure to do so creates the crisis that we face. Be willing to work with area hospitals to coordinate care, reduce competition, provide the real needs of the community, not only for the most profitable services for the owners. Require any deal with Prime to guarantee services. They signed an APA, which is Asset Purchase Agreement. Now, these services need to be clearly defined and guaranteed, and they should be guaranteed for no less than 10 years. It has not been clearly identified and guaranteed for 10 years. They say no less than 5. In California, Prime was forced by the state to reopen their psych services because it was part of an agreement. Despite being part of an agreement, they closed the psych services. It was, fortunately, the Department of Health made them reopen them. Oversight. Apply a monitor to evaluate the quality conditions are being met. And that can be done through the Department of Health. Appoint a monitor to review the coding practices that concerns Medicare fraud so that none of that could happen. We have people who work in the hospital, they don't want to be exposed to anything that is not properly done. Transparency, disclosure of how they spend the public dollars, and guarantee that they retain the staff. The staff has many, many years of seniority and have taken care of this community in all good faith. And let me just finally say, on December 3rd, the Gallup's annual Honesty and Ethics Survey came out, and for the 11th year running, the registered nurses were on top of the list. Now I'm going to have to say CEOs of for-profit hospitals didn't make the list, okay? But the hospital doesn't belong to the board. It doesn't belong to Mr. Kelly. It belongs to you, the community. You are entitled to accountability. You're entitled for this hospital to continue to serve you, and I think you need to demand that as we will.